once again another race, part of the 2021 All Skills No Major Glitches tournament for Hollow Knight, of course. Today we're gonna have a race between MonStahLer and Dudexcubed, and that's pretty much it for introducing that. They're both, this might be one of the closer matchups we've had in the first round, as far as I know, since both of them are about 7 or 8 minutes from each other in terms of PBs, as far as I know. Monsta has a 49-48, and Dudexcubed has a 58 something.
58-43.
Yeah. So this might actually be one of the more closer races. We'll have to see, of course. Anything can happen.
Yeah, of course, this first round of the Swiss, the matches are going to be the furthest apart from the whole tournament because of how Swiss bracket works.
Yeah.
As the tournament goes on, they should get a lot closer.
Yeah, the higher and lower seeds, there's usually quite a difference between them, and they all get matched with each other. So as you said, it's going to get closer the further we get into the rounds. And, of course, what was I going to say? Yeah, so it seems we're just about ready to start up, which is quite a refresher from some of the other rounds we've had, where we had lengthy technical issues and all that stuff. So luckily, we seem to be able to just start it up pretty soon. We're just going to make sure that the runners are all ready. And in the meanwhile, everyone, get comfy. I don't know, get a snack, get some water, stay hydrated, and we will start the race shortly. All right, we're just waiting to hear the runners say that they're ready, and after that, we're gonna count them down. Of course, there's gonna be a bit of delay here from when we actually count them down. So yeah, I'm gonna start the countdown here. You're gonna have to expect the run to start actually like 20 or 30 seconds after. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. So
And
the
we're
runners, they should be on their way. There's of course a bit of delay. So in a couple somethings, we'll actually see something. Monsta teasing us a bit with the Steel Soul file.
Yeah, that would certainly be interesting to see.
Yeah. Imagine if you start the run in Steel Soul and you just don't notice until you get to the Shade Skip.
Oh gosh, that would be rough.
Yeah. So as for this category, if you're wondering what it's all about, the goal of it is to get all nail arts, all movement abilities, and upgraded spells, and then beat the game. And of course, the runners are both going to use the regular Hollow Knight ending, because it is, of course, the fastest one to get. So they are on their way now. Luckily, both timers are working, so that's also very good.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of trouble with them on some of the other streams early in the tournament. So it's nice that we're not struggling.
So with these first segments, it's mainly going to be just a lot of movements, a lot of just walking towards a direction, like the next room, and trying to stop as little as possible.
Yeah, there's still a little change here, though. You can see they're going to go for soft falls here if you jump at the right time. you'll get a soft fall when that floor breaks. If you don't, you'll get stunned.
Yeah, there's a lot of small things like that that our runners are going to be probably focusing quite heavily on. There's no major time saves in this first split, except for maybe skipping the False Knight boss fight, which is a dev-intended shortcut. But mainly it's all going to be about just trying to move towards where we need to go as quickly as possible. We have no abilities of any sort, except our trusty nail and our movement, our regular walking and jumping.
Yeah, it's just a lot of small movement optimizations. You'll see stuff like them jumping into transitions, which will save them like a slight amount of time because they're already falling fast into them. And things like that that save like 0.1 seconds, and that adds up over time.
Yeah. We're gonna see, are they gonna get hit? MonStah gets hit once, unfortunately. And Cubed takes a hit as well on the RNG Grizzler drop. They're gonna be entering an arena here, where they're gonna be attempting a strat where you hit a little, is it stalactites? I think it is, yeah.
Yes,
stalactites that falls off the ceiling. You're gonna see MonStah go for it here and try to catch both of these. He misses it, unfortunately, only gets one of them. Cubed has the same thing, has a bit of a cleanup, I guess.
Yeah.
And they are exactly tied right now, it seems.
Yeah, they are. This is looking close so far, but like we said earlier, this first segment, there's not too much technicality in it.
Yeah, your time
so
saves
it'll be
are going to
interesting
be...
to see how it diverges as the race goes on.
Yeah, your time losses are going to be like 2 to 3 seconds at most, if you do lose any time. But they are pretty much neck and neck right now. Cubed maybe a tiny bit ahead. And with the load time normalizer we have, it makes it all look really nice. You get to see this mirrored action, I guess. They both get the statue pogo. Nice.
Yeah, they're perfectly synced up on the timer still, which is good.
So the main, I think, difference between them right now that we're going to see pretty soon is what kind of cycle RNG False Knights gets them. Because they're only going to do one cycle, which is something that I should learn, seeing as my race the other day went a bit dumb. I used some of my good old true ending muscle memory.
Yeah, true ending will do that to you.
MonStah gets the good RNG. Cube gets a bit worse RNG. Tries to clean it up and loses maybe a second or two to it.
Yeah, basically if he jumps towards you, you can hit him while he's in the air jumping, but if he jumps away, you can't, and it saves like whatever the time of like 2 nail swings is.
Yeah. So in terms of first splits here, they're both faring pretty well, I feel. There might be a lot of nerves, but like there weren't any large mistakes. MonStah had a bit of trouble in the Gome room, but managed to save it quite neatly. And they're now looking towards getting maybe like a 36, 37. With Cubed just 1 second behind. So it's gonna be interesting to see if it stays this close for long, or if it diverges towards either one of the runners having a lead.
Yeah, for sure. Those were very solid VS splits for both of those runners.
Yeah, I would 100% take that in a tournament. I would be very happy with it. Alright, let's see what kind of spit RNG they get. They want the Baldur here to spit a little smaller version of itself. MonStah gets a first spit. This is a 50-50 chance. They both get a first spit. Interesting.
So far, their RNG's been pretty synced for this run, other than False Knight.
Yeah,
we got one Gruzzer.
Yeah, exactly. So they're MonStah managed to catch a bit more time there. Now MonStah is about 3 seconds or so ahead, I think. I might be wrong on that.
No, yeah, that looks about right. 4.
And now you're going to see a bit more RNG, depending on the spawns of these Gruzzers. They want to get 6 hits of soul going into the next room. MonStah seems to not get many. He gets 1 free one. Dudexcubed opts to take hits from the Tic-Tics instead. And gets a lot of Gruzzers as well, so they have a bit more Geo or soul than they need, which might come in handy later. And they both do the Baldur quick kill strategy, where you walk off the screen and fire a fireball at the Baldur, and it gets stuck 4 times on top of it and kills it instantly. I think they both got the fireball skips.
I believe MonStah missed his. So that's why the dude picked up like 3 seconds on him.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, there are a lot of like small things. They're very much neck and neck right now. So it's gonna be I wonder what the main, like at what point they're gonna start drifting apart.
Yeah. Yeah, stuff like these fireball skips that we're gonna see aren't super technical, but they're also very easy to miss for even really good runners. Such as MonStah, who has the world record for the category at 49.48.
They both get the second one.
So it happens.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
And they both have, I believe, yeah, they both have enough soul for this next one. So they're both in quite a comfy spot, especially since they're both also on quite high HP. MonStah with 5 and Cubed with 4. Unfortunately, misses the fireball skip there.
Yeah, we'll see if he gets the good RNG for the backup here. He does, but he doesn't go for it. You can pogo off of that husk to like as it's falling if you aggro it, and you'll be able to like kind of save your time loss for missing the fireball skip. But it's kind of
now seems to be maybe 10 seconds ahead of Cubed.
Yeah, that's looking about right.
Perhaps a bit more. And now we're gonna see what kind of Moss Knight RNG they get. Either both can spawn to the left, which is what you want, or one of them can spawn really far right. And since they're both on high HP, it's not gonna be a worry for them too much, hopefully. But sometimes if you get the bad RNG, you can end up taking 2 or 3 damage tanks here if you don't handle it properly. MonStah takes 1, unfortunately. But manages to get it all pretty neatly. Being on 4 HP here is very, very comfortable, especially for a runner with his experience.
Dude gets the good RNG, and so it should be pretty comfortable for him.
Let's
and
see.
They will both
so now
the Hornet with 4 HP.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be pretty comfy for them to do Hornet here. And we're gonna see what kind of fights. MonStah getting a very, very nice beginning, playing quite aggressively, and it's paying off. Especially with the upslashes to keep close.
Yeah, this is a fantastic Hornet fight from MonStah.
That was very good, yeah. Ooh, Hornet jumps all the way to the other side for Cubed. Quite unfortunate. That's gonna lose a bit of time. Cubed lost a tiny bit of time to MonStah on that fight, being about 18 seconds or so behind.
Yeah.
And now they're gonna be making their way to Mantis Claw through the fungal wastes. The split is quite consistent, and it depends a lot on movements. There are a lot of things that can go wrong. You've got two, I guess, major points, being the Mantis Pogo and the Explosion Pogo, which are 2 strategies that we use to save a bit of time. And then, of course, you've got a lot of inventory drops above Pits of Acid, so who knows, maybe it ends up going poorly for either of them, or maybe they both get a really good one.
Yeah, this is always a fun segment to see done well.
Yeah.
It looks very clean.
Monster gets a good first room. And something of note here is that they're gonna want to stop to get some Geo Rocks, do a very, very slight detour, and get a bit of Geo, because they're gonna need it for Dash Slash and Shaman Stone, which are the two main Geo requirements. Shaman Stone at 220 and Dash Slash a bit later at 800. Gonna require quite a bit of Geo, and we're probably gonna see some interesting strats to get them, mainly some enemies, the Gorgeous Husk, and some hoppers in Kingdom's Edge that carry a lot of Geo.
Yeah, and those hoppers can be interesting depending on how you handle them. You'll end up dealing with primal aspids, which anyone who's played this game knows can be very annoying.
Alright, let's see. Monsta. Let's see how their Epoga goes. Gets it quite neatly. Gets a bit caught on the platform at the top, but manages to go over it anyways. And Cubed entering the same room. They're both got pretty bad patterns on those little mushrooms there. You want them pretty close together to the right. Monsta does Mantis Pogo, decides to get an extra Pogo to be safe. And
Dude
Cube
just barely makes that E-Pogo. You saw him just barely clip with the dash up onto that ledge.
Yeah. Let's see what kind of Mantis Pogo they go for here. They seem to be doing the double dash strategy. Accidentally gets a side slash, unfortunately, instead of a Pogo. And opts to go around, which is probably the safer call from them. It's gonna be losing a bit of time. Probably around 10 or so seconds.
Yeah.
But it's either that or trying the Mantis Pogo again with them all in messed up positions. So I can respect going immediately for the slower route instead of trying over and over again. It's still quite close for early game, especially with their 8-minute PB difference. Dudexcubed is keeping up quite well with their movements. They've just had a bit of mistakes to kind of throw them off, which is unfortunate.
Dude will probably be about 30 seconds behind here, it looks like. Maybe a little more, 35. So it's still very much a race within like one death or one really like bad segment for one of them.
Yeah, so Monsta coming up here on the Gruzmother fight, and also Salubra and the Shade Skip, which is going to be our main way, or our main sequence break in this run, together with getting Shade Soul really early. So we're gonna want to use our Shade with like with our Nail Pogos, and we're gonna get some heights and go to an area that we're not supposed to be able to reach. So let's see what kind of cleanup Monsta gets. Gets them all in quite a perfect cleanup. That is very, very really nice. Clean.
And Monsta's looking pretty good at Geo after buying Shaman Stone. You really don't want less than 200. He's on the lower end, but definitely okay going into the next couple splits.
Cube doing some risky pogo strats there. I think their Gruzmother nail cancels might have gone a bit poorly, but they managed to play quite aggressive with some interesting pogo strats. Almost gets a perfect cleanup as well.
Yeah, only one Gruzzer made it out of that, and they cleaned it up really quickly, so there shouldn't be much time difference there.
Monsta gets the Shade Skip quite neatly, and Cubed is almost at the same points. They just have to die and set up the Shade first. And Monsta is now moving over Blue Lake on the way down to the City of Tears.
We see Cubed has 3 more Geo than Monsta, but that's not going to make a huge difference overall. They're pretty
they're both looking pretty good on Geo. And I think they're both going to be... Yeah, they're both going to have quite decent amounts soon. Monsta gets a bit caught on that... what are they called? Great Husk Sentries, I think. Something like that.
Yeah, Great Husk Sentries. Yeah, and they can really be a pain if you get bad spawning for them. We'll see you later when they exit Soul Sanctum. They can really block your Geo collection and cause problems as well.
Yeah. The notable thing about them is that they kind of have, like, similar to the Devouts in Deep Nest, they have a barrier inside of their hitbox that acts as a wall. So if you damage tank them, you cannot just run through them with your invincibility frames. Because they are literally a wall.
Yeah, so if they're in a bad position, you just kind of have to deal with it, try and sneak by. You can't.
Yeah, just kind of awkwardly jump over. This is 1.2.2.1, as the chat is asking. Yes, it is.
And nice gate storage from Dudexcubed exiting the elevator.
Alright, MonStah is looking quite nice on Geo. Going into Gorgeous Husk. He's going to be well over 700 by the end of this. Around 717, I believe, if he gets all the Geo from Gorgeous Husk. Has a bit of a mess up, fireballing in the wrong direction, but manages to clean it up quite neatly. And gets all of the Geo as well. Now quits out to King Station again.
Yeah, so 717 is a really good number to have there. I believe 704 is the minimum to kill just like the normal amount of hoppers in the coming segment. So he's got a bit of leeway if he gets bad Geo movement. So
Cubed has a bit more Geo, I think, compared to MonStah. Presuming they also get everything from Gorgeous Husk. Yes, they are looking quite nice on Geo. Almost around the 330 or 730, 740 area after this.
Yeah, so depending on how it works out, dude might have the opportunity to gain a couple seconds on MonStah in the coming split.
Yeah, these hoppers, they can mess you up quite a bit if you kind of get off their cycle, or if one accidentally jumps over you. MonStah accidentally takes a damage tank, but manages to like clean up the cycle pretty decently. He does do some interesting like jump over and duck under strats to avoid having to pogo the hoppers down into the ground. Because there's actually a thing that if you pogo them on like the same points where they're like on top of the ground, like when they're at the bottom of their jump, they can get stuck in the ground and glitch out really weirdly, which would mess up your cycle. So MonStah gets dash slash, just as Cubed is on their way to the same place. And MonStah's gonna be heading over to Soul Sanctum after this. The chat is giving us corrected information that Dudexcube's PB is a 56.58 and not a 58.40 something, as we had earlier thought. It seems as their newest PB might not be in on the leaderboards yet. So this is actually a much closer match than we thought it was.
Yeah, 49-48 PB and a 56-58 PB. It really could go either way if MonStah takes a death somewhere in a bad spot, which is definitely possible even for a good runner like him.
Yeah, because Soul Sanctum is not known to be nice. There is a lot of RNG in the area, and sometimes the enemies, especially the Soul Twisters, they can just do everything in their power to completely destroy your run. And then on top of that, you have the actual Soul Master fight, where the patterns that he does is going to matter quite a lot to how fast you can go, especially in the second phase.
It looks like right now, Dude is about a minute behind MonStah. So
yeah, that seems to be about correct. MonStah unfortunately takes a damage tank, but should be fine on 4 HP. They might actually take a heal on the elevator. Ooh, Cubed kind of gets thrown off the dash routing there, and accidentally falls down and takes a damage tank. They should also be pretty comfortable on 4 HP, as they can just gather a bit of extra soul on the enemies while they're moving, and also heal up.
Yeah,
MonStah
Soul Sanctum is mostly safe at 4 HP. Once you get freer or lower, then you really run into some issues where bad Soul Twister RNG can kind of kill you without any influence of your own.
Ooh, Cubed kind of getting the Rava there, or the Husk Guard, a bit stuck in the dark room with them. Accidentally takes 2 extra damage tanks. Being
Yeah,
on 2 HP here is kind of worrying. If I'm guessing correctly, Cubed is probably going to opt to go for a bit more safer strategies here.
Yeah, I'd
As
really like to see Cubed heal.
Yeah. Because staying on this amount of health is quite scary. Although, if they want to do quick fights against the Soul Warrior in the middle of Sanctum and the Soul Master, they're actually going to have quite a lot of soul. And they get the double as well, which is going to be really, really nice to them, seeing as they can save a whole 3 nail hits worth of soul.
Yeah, that'll
healing
definitely
instead.
allow him to heal better. But we
The
still don't see a heal.
The Soul Warrior that MonStah is fighting right now, it regularly needs 4 nail hits and 4 fireball hits or shade soul hits to be killed. And what you saw them do there in the shade soul room is that they used the dash slash to hit the lever of that gate at the top through the gate itself, so from the unintended side, and they could therefore access shade soul really, really early. This is patched on the current patch of the game, so you can only do this if you down patch.
Yeah, we're going to see MonStah just use one of those skips again to skip a very difficult room in Soul Sanctum that current patch has to go through with. It's 3 or 4 spell twisters, and it's very RNG heavy, and we luckily get that because of dash slash.
Alright, MonStah is entering the Soul Master fights. Hopefully they get some good RNG. And Cubed is right behind there, fighting the Soul Warrior. Gets a bit of a cleaner fight than MonStah did. MonStah ends the Soul Master fights. Ooh, Cubed is already seeing some of that bad Soul Sanctum RNG. Takes a hit on the teleporting Soul Twister. And they're now in a bit of a tricky situation. Decides to use a Fireball, which is a good call, since all the enemies there were blocking the path, and farms up some soul to get some heals.
Yeah, Cube got really bad RNG there, especially going in with 3 health.
MonStah going for some swag strats there. One of those setups where you kind of bounce around the top of the room to make sure that the Soul Master fake dies and you can end him quickly with 2 fireballs. Very, very, very well executed from MonStah there. And it's also gonna skip some of the RNG that second phase has. Very impressive.
Yeah. Dude is about to start his Soul Master fight. We don't see him go quite for the quick strat, but...
Get some nice double hits there, though, with that attack. That is something you definitely like to see. And the fight should be pretty close to ended.
This next fireball, probably.
Yeah.
Yes.
Being on 2 HP here is a bit scary. I'm curious to see what kind of riskiness they go for in their strategy for the next phase. But they should be fine. I think they have the experience and the practice to be able to handle this situation, as it's very common to get here like this in runs. Gets a fake dive, which is unfortunate. And only gets a couple dives, which is going to be very, very nice for them. And they make it out quite fine on their 2 HP. They never even took a second hit. Which gives them a bit of extra HP to exit Soul Sanctum with. There are some spots that can be a bit tricky. And MonStah is now on his way back down to King Station to enter the Crystal Peaks with their newfound descending dive ability, Desolate Dive.
Yeah, we'll see MonStah will be trying to get some Geo here from this row of Husks, most likely, and the Great Husk Sentry here can block a lot of it if he's not lucky. But he seemed to have pretty decent luck and managed to pick up 25, which should put him in a good position.
They're both going to want to bench here at the Watcher Spire to be able to save quits back here later, because of the way that the game's save points work. So they're going to get everything. They're going to get Crystal Dash, or Crystal Heart, Descending Dark, and Dream Nail, and then they're going to quit back here, since none of those pickups are actually hard saves. MonStah getting the last bit of Geo that he needs right here, and should be on a pretty comfortable over 300 amount of Geo. And Cubed is on the way down to do the same thing. is on a comfortable 266, only needs a couple of enemies worth of Geo to have enough. So they're looking to have 300 here for King Station, and that's all they need.
We see Cubed having a little bit of trouble with an elevator right here, but they get by.
MonStah seems to have bought a bit more of time save compared to Cube with that entire segment, seeing as MonStah has had a very... Ooh, Cubed on 1 HP. It's a bit scary, seeing as these enemies can kind of hide behind the foreground, but they make it out fine. As I was saying, MonStah seems to have bought himself a bit more time save here with this entire long segment that we just went through. Since he had a very, very, very clean Soul Sanctum, and especially the Soul Master boss fight was looking pretty good for MonStah, at least the second phase.
Yeah, Soul Sanctum's definitely one of those places in all skills runs where there's a lot of possible like time save or loss, depending both on RNG and how risky you play your strats.
Yeah, for sure. So MonStah's gonna be taking this long dash route to Crystal Peaks. And this is gonna be a very, very long segment. Probably one of the scariest and most difficult in this run in terms of movement. This is gonna be a long segment where you kind of have to conserve these 5 hit points that you have in the beginning the entire way around. Because healing is... You're gonna want your soul for different things. And healing, of course, loses time. And there are a lot of cycles that we need to catch. There's even a dark room that can be quite tricky. And it's going to be a very interesting split to see. Sometimes, even for top runners, this can go pretty horribly. Especially interested if MonStah's going to go for Pogax or opt to take the more consistent strategy. MonStah decides to not go for Pogax. That's probably a good idea.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see in Peaks what kind of damage tank strategies the runners do, because there are a good few that exist that save a little bit of time that you see used in like any percent and other categories, but since health's a lot more important here, since we have to get Descending Dark and Dream Nail as well, not all of them are necessarily race viable.
MonStah unfortunately gets a bit of bad crawler spawns and unfortunately misses the god cycle and decides to lose like a second to go around the other side so that he doesn't have to do a damage tank.
Yeah, so it looks like MonStah make it to the Crystal Heart Room with 5 math, which is always nice.
MonStah does the nail art storage there. Pretty well executed. And I'm expecting to see a version of the Homothety Fireball trick with dash slash here. Yes. Now, MonStah decides to go for the damage cycle, it seems. Which makes sense since they're on a comfortable 5 HP. And since they're a very experienced runner and very, very consistent with these kinds of movement splits, they should be fine on 4 HP for this next segment.
Cubed also decides to go for Pogax, but it didn't work out for him.
Unfortunately, yeah. So MonStah now on his way to the Crystallized Mound. He's going to have to go through a room with Crushers, a completely pitch black dark room, and also the mound itself. And he wants to do this all and end up on 2 HP or more to be able to do an early control strat in Crystallized Mound. That will look quite interesting and quite funny. But it's going to need a damage tank to be executed.
Yeah, that's why it's important that runners have 2 health coming out of this dark room here.
MonStah gets a very, very cool Walkling storage strat there. That is quite interesting.
Yeah, that was really interesting to see.
And most importantly, he saved the grub.
Of course.
There is no excuse not to save that grub. It's literally harder to avoid than it is to save.
Yeah.
It's in your path. Alright, let's see what kind of cycle Cube gets here.
Looks like Cubed will go for damage cycle too.
Yeah.
It looks a little behind on it, but I think they'll make it.
Yeah, I think they meant to do like the same dash slash strat that Monsta did, but jumped over instead, and then they kind of panicked knowing that they had a dash slash charged and had to stop a bit to kind of not accidentally trigger it. Monsta does the early control strats, slides off, takes a damage tank, and gets control of their character early in the middle of this cutscene and can just leave the room now. Cubed seems to only be like a minute and a half to 2 behind.
Yeah, which is still in the realm of one death. So it's Monsta can't relax yet, even though he is ahead.
Cubed saves that Crusher's cycle there, accidentally dashes into the wall before jumping, but manages to get out and not take a damage tank.
Cube saves the grub as well.
Very nice. Let's see what kind of dark room they go for. They do use the fireball, and decides to opt for a safer strat with Crystal Heart. And it was probably a good idea with this strategy to fireball the Crystal Hunter, as they decided to do, because if you're not using the optimal, like, just dashing strats, you can get caught a bit on the platforms, and you can actually get hit by that hunter, which could mess up your entire...
Yeah, and if that hunter hits you, it could knock you into the spikes, and then you have to
Monsta does the Dream Nail Underplant. Very nice. Love to see it. And Cubed, it also has enough health here to do the early control hazard tank strats, which is going to be pretty nice for them. So the way you do this is you dash slash the pickup, and it's going to store your dash momentum, and you're going to slide off into the hazard below, respawn at the top.
Yeah.
And so they seem to get it quite nicely.
Yeah, they get it. We'll see Monsta heading to Watcher Knights now. And all skills, unlike some other categories like any percent, Watcher Knights aren't that difficult a boss because we have Descending Dark. I believe it's like 2 3/4 Descending Darks will kill a Watcher Knight, or 2.5.
It's not very many.
Yeah.
They kind of just wake up, stand there for a couple seconds, and then just die, which is quite refreshing to see after you've watched or run some other categories where you actually like have to fight them and try not to die. They of course have a lot of RNG here still as well. Because like when these two spawn at the same time, one of them can just roll across the arena, and you want them both to be close to each other so that you can damage them both with one dive. Monsta gets a pretty nice pattern on those two, the first pair, and is now looking to fight the last pair. This one is quite different because they spawn very far away from each other. So it's interesting to see what strategies he's gonna attempt to do. That was very, very good.
That was well handled.
Very well handled. And the Watchers, they decided to cooperate as well, which is very nice. Cubed accidentally takes a fall in the dream world. Ooh, that's painful. I know how it feels. But it's not going to be too big of a time loss. It's just around 5 seconds or so.
So it looks like at this point, Cubed is about 2 minutes and 10 seconds behind Monsta. If I'm right, or maybe it's a minute and 10 seconds.
So Monsta's approaching the first Dreamer here. There's going to be a bit of a cutscene here. He's going to get a chance to wipe their hands and yeah. I'm just making sure we're on.
The timer pauses during this cutscene, which gives runners a nice break from mashing.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we're using Monsta's audio since he is ahead, and we are, so. So Monsta's now going to be approaching a set of skips that is quite difficult. This might be one of the trickiest sections of all skills, seeing it as it can go wrong in quite a couple of ways.
Yeah,
But
I'd
what he's
expect
actually
from these really good PB runners that they'll get through it okay, but you definitely see in the tournament a lot of the lower seeded players, or higher seeded players, I mean. Well, no, lower, struggling with these skips coming up.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Like, there's a lot of things that can go wrong, and sometimes you kind of just get a bit messed up, like you missed the spike tunnel skip. I know this personally from my race that I had yesterday. Even though I had practiced it like hours prior, I still ended up not getting the best one. I messed it up a couple times.
Yeah, the spike tunnel skip, especially for like better runners, from what I've seen, if you miss it once or twice, you can kind of get in your head, and then you just keep struggling.
Ooh, Monster taking a dunk there on the spike tunnel. A second one. Ouch, this is not looking too good for Monster. On the third one, gets it.
Third time. That's good.
Third time's the charm. I think we might have commentators cursed it by talking about messing it up.
Yeah, we might have.
Sorry, Monster.
Oh, no.
Oh, wow.
It
My
saves
god.
it.
The save.
And hits the top on the other part, too. Then
My gosh.
That was insane.
That save.
See, Monster go for the setup list. Third skip.
Wow.
Which I believe is relatively new.
That save was, I'll be honest, that was very impressive.
Yeah, that was...
The reaction time you need for that. To realize what's
truly crazy.
Monster is now going to be heading to Broken Vessel and the Monarch Wings, since that is an ability, and that's the goal of the category. And Cubed is going to be heading to the same set of skips that we're using to Isthmus. And the reason we do these skips is, of course, because we want to avoid to fight our boy Ogrim, or as he's also known, the Dung Defender, so we can just stay out of the waterways entirely and not have to do a boss fight that loses us a bunch of... I cannot speak today.
Time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's worth noting that the spike tunnel skip, actually, you don't need to fight Dung Defender to do, but it still saves time because we'd have to get a key to get in the waterways. And it would be
that damage tank Monster takes. Accidentally lets go of the inventory drop a tiny bit too late and dunks the spikes. They luckily have a bench here, so they're going to be full on HP again. And let's see what kind of skips Cubed gets here. Hopefully they should get through it all without messing it up. But as you saw, even really experienced runners, even like the world record holder Monster himself, you saw him mess it up a couple seconds ago. So these are really something that just kind of gets messed up sometimes for everyone. Because they are, especially the spike tunnel, it is quite precise. And you only need a tiny, tiny bit of mistakes to actually miss it. What kind of our... Monster only got hit once so far. Decides to take it slow on that Maulurk there.
Oh no,
and gets through that one.
Struggling a little bit.
Monster got really good Maulurk RNG. Okay, Cube got it. Ooh, that was a bit of a struggle there. But they're through. I'm curious to see if they're gonna use the Blurg sack as a soul refill. Decides to fireball. Yeah, they decide to go for the Blurg sack. Probably a good call.
Yeah, definitely in a race setting. If it was going for PB, it would be questionable, but...
Are they called Blurg sacks or Blug sacks? I'm not sure.
I have no idea. I don't know half the enemy names in this game either.
The Egu container.
Yes, the Egu container.
The chat is informing me that it is Blug sack and not Blurg sack.
Thank you, chat.
Cube does the second one. And decides to go for... Tries to go for the setup. And let's see if they get it. Ooh, unfortunately messes it up. Monster got through the Broken Vessel fights quite alright on a stable 4 HP. And Cube gets the setup on the third or second try, I think.
Yeah, we see because he's all on health. We see Cubed elect not to go for the little early control because that would take
Yeah.
damage.
And MonStah is now going to be heading to fight Hornet for a second time in the Kingdom's Edge to be able to get the King's Brand, which we're going to need later to be able to access the Shade Cloak and the Abyss Shriek, which are the two final skills we're going to collect in this run before we fight the Hollow Knights.
Yeah, and this will definitely be an interesting fight to watch because this is probably the hardest in the run. And if Hornet decides to be mean, she can definitely bully even really good players.
The chat is informing us that Dude is now unfortunately behind their PB by 20 seconds. But this could still be a PB for them. 20 seconds is definitely something that can be made up. So, hopefully things go better than... Ooh, Cubed also takes a damage tank. The same mistake that MonStah made. They luckily are really close to the bench as well, so... It is a bit of a time loss, but that's all alright. It's gonna be fine. MonStah is going to be making his way to the Hornet Sentinel boss fight, just as Cubed is on their way to Broken Vessel. Cubed gets hit on the first one, unfortunately, of the MonStahLers. And let's see, hopefully the rest of them gives a bit better RNG. Unfortunately gets hit on the third. And let's see, there are two more.
Ooh.
Takes a hit on that one, that's quite unfortunate.
Cubed will likely elect to heal at this last MonStahLer here.
Yeah, decides to farm soul on this one, that's probably a... Ooh, unfortunately takes a hit on this one as well. That is quite an unfortunate set of MonStahLers for Cubed.
Yeah. It looks like Cube's gonna elect to fight Broken Vessel with 2 masks, which is rather risky.
I think they might heal. Oh yeah, they're healing.
Deciding to heal here. Okay.
MonStah playing the Hornet 2 fight very aggressively, and it pays off quite neatly for them. Gets quite a quick fight, and is now going to be making his way to Kingsbrand inside the cast-off shell. So let's see. We have the inevitable question. Will MonStah invalidate his run? Or get a penalty by doing the early control incorrectly? The answer is probably not, but we'll see. Alright, Cubed gets one of the headbang attacks and is able to finish off the Broken Vessel fight quite neatly. Only took 1 hit, I think.
Yeah.
MonStah does it correctly, as far as I know. I wasn't looking too carefully.
It looked like MonStah did it right.
Yeah. So MonStah's now going to be making his way to the King's Station, and is going to stag to Dirtmouth and go get Cyclone Slash, and then he's going to be off to Umu.
Yeah, Umu coming up here will be one of the more interesting parts of time save, or of possible time save, in these races, because if Umu decides to give an extra attack, the 1 cycle can be extremely difficult to save. So bad RNG there can cause a lot of problems.
Yeah, for sure. Especially getting the extra attack. That's like, even if you're a really good runner, it could be quite hard to save an extra attack. Especially since the setups for like optimal cycles on Umu fights in most categories are they're quite fragile, in the sense that Umu has a lot of RNG and just can kind of mess it up by doing stuff that you don't want it to do. Especially the extra attacks being the main one, because it's going to move a lot more, and you have to somehow to get it to end up on the same spot that it would have after 3 attacks, after 4 attacks.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Cubed is making their way to Hornet 2 now. Hopefully they get a good fight as well. I'm curious to see if they're going to opt to take the safety bench, or if they're going to go for the fights and like have the confidence to get it in one try.
Yeah, the choice whether or not to take the safety bench is definitely a tough one to make. Because it does lose probably, I don't know, 10 seconds? Maybe a little more. But it saves you a lot if you die. So in a race setting.
Decides to not go for it. Actually, I might not have been paying enough attention. They might have benched on King's Station, actually, which is a faster safety bench to take.
Yeah, that safety bench will only lose a couple of seconds, and but if they die, they'll lose more time compared to the other safety bench.
Yeah. MonStah now has Cyclone Slash, and is now going to be making his way down to Umu and Fog Canyon in the Teacher's Archives. Gets a pretty clean drop, no annoying infected Grezzer RNG. And Cubed seems to be working through the Hornet fight quite neatly. Only has 1 damage taken. 2 now, because I said stuff. Why do I say things?
Commentator's curse is ever present.
Yeah, they're getting a bit low on health, but I think they're fine. They've probably got this.
Yeah, they're getting really close to the end of the fight. It'll probably only be a couple more Shade Souls.
Yeah, I think 1 more double should do it. Yeah.
Yeah, there we are.
Got through it. Very nice. It would be very unfortunate to see a death there, and I'm glad none of the runners did that.
For sure. We have MonStah coming up on Umu now, as Cubed will make his way back to King Station.
There's a nice Cyclone drop to save a tiny bit of time there. Let's see if MonStah ends up getting the 1 cycle. If we get an extra attack here, it's going to be quite unfortunate. Umu seems to be in a pretty decent spot for MonStah. It does do 2 long attacks, though, which is going to lose a bit of time. It's quite unfortunate to see.
Yeah.
Alright, MonStah seems to have this. No extra attack, luckily. And let's see MonStah finish off this cycle. And gets
very
it quite
clean
nicely.
1 cycle.
Very, very clean 1 cycle. The only thing that could have been better was the attack RNG to get a bit of a faster fight, but everything that MonStah could have done, he did pretty damn well. So yeah. And Cubed is now on their way to get Cyclone Slash and do Umu as well. MonStah is from here, going to, of course, kill Monomon, and is also going to go up to Green Path again, get the Great Slash, Nail Art, and then get, what is it called? Howling Wraiths. And then, of course, he's going to make his way down to Deep Nest for Hera the Beast.
Yeah, so far we've had pretty solid runs from both runners here. MonStah just being able to pick up a little bit of time on small things, just like little movement optimizations. Neither racer has really made any huge mistakes.
I think the main time loss for Cubed was probably Soul Sanctum and Ismus.
Yeah, definitely.
The rest is just small movements. Since MonStah just has a lot more optimized movements. But Cubed is holding up quite well against the competition here. and is actually not too far behind at all. Only a minute or two.
Especially considering Cube is under the pressure of running against the world record holder for the category. It's a very impressive run.
MonStah now making his way all the way up to green path again to get Great Slash from Paint Master Shio. And this is just going to be a lot of movement, very movement-centered splits.
Yeah, that's something you'll notice with all skills compared to some of the other non-100% categories, that there's a lot of movement. It's a lot of just running from place to place and movement optimizations compared to some other categories.
Yeah, the ratio from movements and combats for all skills is yeah, it's a bit more tilted towards movements compared to something like any percent, in which the movement is just directly most of the time leading to the next streamer, because you're just getting the bare minimum, while in all skills you have to travel a lot around a lot more, but still not like travel around for a lot of boss fights like you would in something like True Ending. MonStah forgets to cancel. Oh, never mind. I thought he forgot to cancel the C-dash, but he actually did, just very, very close to the end. Alright, so Cubed is making his way to Umu now. I'm not sure if Cubed does one cycle yet. I think they might, actually.
With the 56 PB, it's definitely possible that Cube goes for the one cycle. If anyone in chat knows, please let us know.
Yeah, I think they probably go for one cycle. It feels quite probable. But it's also quite common that a lot of runners just do the any percent cycle in a category that has Shade Soul, just because it's a bit less, like, it's less finicky to kind of figure out, like, knowing how Umu moves out of bounds and all that stuff.
Yeah, and
that's
while
what we're doing.
messing
we're
up
Umu. Oh, sorry.
Okay, no, go ahead. Okay, so the thing to keep in mind while you'll see like Cubed here doing the any percent strat and not going for the one cycle, is that while you can save a two cycle if you miss the one cycle, it's much more difficult because Umu's out of bounds.
Exactly.
Here, it's pretty much guaranteed if you do the any percent strat.
Yeah, if you know the damage rotation, you can get a two cycle with Shade Soul quite simply. Nice. Gets a pretty solid two cycle there. And MonStah is doing the Howling Wraiths arena. Has a bit of trouble, falls off at one point. And has, yeah, they kind of messed up the cycle. I think maybe it was all planned and I'm just misreading the situation. But still gets through it quite neatly.
That arena is definitely one of the harder parts of the run to do optimally. It's really easy if you make like one small mistake to throw off like the optimal damage rotation.
Exactly, because it all like relies on, like, because if you move in the wrong way, all of the squits on the screen, they're gonna move alongside you, so they can all just really easily get thrown off where you want them to be, so that you can't get those Shade Soul lineups to kill multiple. Gets a nice double Walkling storage there though. You'd love to see it. MonStah now on his way to Deep Nest. He's gonna have to do 3 Dark Rooms in Deep Nest, since there aren't any what am I saying?
You don't
have Lumifly Lantern, of course. So that is something of note about Deep Nest in this category.
Yeah, and we just saw MonStah perform a nice little hazard respawn warp to get to the lever at the end of that little jumping puzzle.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of things I'm learning from MonStah's strategies here. Like a lot of the top runners, they have like these small little things that accumulate a lot of time save. In all skills, I've noticed that a lot of that is due to using like nail arts for different things to get that extra little bit of range on like hitting that elevator or doing that cyclone instead of doing inventory drops.
Yeah.
It's those tiny little things, or how MonStah used the Great Slash on that breakable wall after the hazard respawn. To only have to do 2 hits instead of 3 and have a bit more range on it as well. Just a lot of tiny little things that like I'm definitely gonna try to remember to start implementing into my own runs. And
Exactly.
there's
And those
definitely
tiny little
a lot to learn from watching other people, especially people with faster times than you
yeah.
do runs.
Yeah, and those small optimizations, most of the time they'll
Ooh,
only
that's unfortunate for MonStah. Takes a damage tank, and since it's a dark room, gets warped all the way to the start. That is gonna be
yeah. You
quite
see him getting
unfortunate.
lost a little bit because it's kind of uncommon to hit the spikes in this room once you have a good feel for it.
Yeah, the
But
problem
he
with it
finds his
is
way.
that once you've gone through the room, all of the breakable floors, they're all gone. So you kind of have to like know where all the spike pits are in the darkness.
Yeah, exactly.
MonStah's now about to skip this just by going up there with wings, a little bit of a shortcuts, which lets him skip a large part of Beast Den, and is now going to kill that final Devout and get Hera the Beast. And Cubed is now picking up Great Slash and is now moving after that on the way to Elving Raids. So I don't know what kind of difference we've got between the runners here. From what I can see, it's probably around 3 to 4 minutes, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it looks like it's probably in the range of 4 minutes at this point.
I think Cubed lost a bit of time, especially with that Ismus and the Umutu cycle and some of the movement that MonStah has like optimized really a lot.
Yeah, MonStah's been playing really well this whole
Yeah,
race too as well.
I won't be
Um,
surprised if this is a 50xx for MonStah.
yeah,
Like having a tournament run, especially at this high level, having a tournament run like be this close to your PB and be this like this good is definitely something to be proud of, because like in a tournament setting you only have one attempt, and like keeping this level of consistency throughout it is definitely something that is very impressive and something to be proud of. And Cubed is
yeah,
also
for
pairing up
sure.
really well.
Yeah, it's been a really good performance from both of the runners today so far.
Does anyone in the chat know if this is still a possible PB for Cubed? I'm not too sure on their PB. I haven't been keeping track too much with the paces and stuff. Cubed has a pretty clean raids arena. Gets it all finished up very cleanly.
Yeah. To answer a question in chat, yes, MonStah just has the Hollow Knight fight left, but before that, he needs to go and pick up Shade Cloak and Abyssal Shriek from the Abyss.
I'm really curious to see what MonStah's Abyss Climb is gonna look like, since MonStah is also the person who has the world record in the Abyss Climb ILs, in which he goes for some very, very risky strats and like really like tight execution on some of those spike pogos.
Yeah, a little optimizations in the Abyss
Ooh, MonStah
Climb.
takes a hit there.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fine though. Yeah, MonStah gets through it quite neatly.
Yeah, it's
I just
always
don't want a
interesting to see
repeat of
these
what
little
happened to me.
optimizations in these climbs. Yeah, you died there, didn't you, during your race?
I did. Yeah, it was quite unfortunate. And a surprisingly large time loss as well. I think that lost me up to 2 minutes on my tournament run.
Yeah.
Cube gets the hazard respawn quite neatly. And MonStah is on his way to Shade Cloak. He's gonna do a quit out here, because it's actually a lot faster than watching the whole Shade Cloak pickup cutscene. So as soon as he drops into that pit, as soon as he sees that he's like in the water, he's gonna quit out and enter back in. And Shade Cloak is actually a hard save, so he's just gonna spawn right there. And this is why he cannot like quit out, and this is why he actually has to climb all the way up to Hidden Station again after this, because if he quits out, he's just gonna go back here. So MonStah's just gonna be doing some sea dashing and dashing on the way to Abyss Shriek. And then after that is gonna be the end section of the run, which is quite exciting to say the least.
Yeah, the Abyss climbs are always a lot of fun to watch, especially if the runners go for risky strats. And then Shriek THK is always interesting because you can be very much a bully.
That head hitbox sometimes is just really annoying. But I'm very curious to see, especially with this Abyss climb, since MonStah is really good at it. As someone who has like done a lot of Abyss climb practice and grinded quite a bit for Abyss climb, just because it's just a really fun segment to do. I know how difficult it is to like get a good Abyss climb and actually have your hands cooperate with what you're trying to do. Since there's a lot of button presses, especially with those really tight like full jumps one after another. You have quite a lot of those if you want to get an optimal climb. So let's see here what Abyss climb MonStah gets. Let's watch this. That's looking very good for MonStah. He's playing it really well. That is very good. Yeah, that is... Oh, gets a bit of a mess up there. That was very good. Only one minor mistake. He played it really well.
Yeah, that was a really strong Abyss climb.
Very impressive from MonStah. So MonStah is now heading from Hidden Station to the Dartmouth Stag, and is gonna be going all the way to the Black Egg Temple, and is gonna finish off his run.
Yeah, at this point, I think it's looking like MonStah is looking at a high 50XX or a low 51, if I'm correct.
Yeah, it is a very good time to get in a tournament run, for sure.
Yeah, that's a fantastic time to get in a tournament run.
Cubed opts to kill this Devout instead of going around. I actually don't know, it might be faster. I'm not sure.
I think if you go in with the soul, with like 3 hits of soul, it's like 0.1 seconds faster, and it's slightly slower if you do it without any soul.
Good to know.
Yeah.
MonStah now entering the Black Egg Temple. All he has to do now is defeat the Hollow Knights. And he's on a pretty comfortable 5 HP, has a bit of soul going in as well. But this fight can definitely go many ways, especially in alt skills, where you have Abyss Shriek. You're trying to go for quite aggressive strats here. Especially since you have to stand so close to the boss to be able to get all their shrieks hit in. Sometimes, you know, the Hollow Knight has like a really big head hitbox. And can sometimes do attacks that are a bit unfavorable. Like, MonStah does not want to be getting all of these dash attacks.
Yeah, dashes are the worst, because they duck underneath the Shriek hitbox. So the Shrieks won't hit if THK decides to dash at the wrong time.
Yeah, it's a quite harsh contrast to most other categories where you really want those dash attacks, because you can get double hits with fireballs or shade souls. MonStah enters the second phase of the fight and ends it very quickly. That is a GG for MonStah.
This
is a 50xx, and it's gonna be the tournament record for MonStahLer.
Yeah, this is gonna be a 50... 42?
I think it's gonna be probably like around 40... 42, yeah. Alright. That is a big GG for MonStahLer. 50-42, that is a very, very, very impressive time to get in the tournament setting. And also, the first 50xx we've seen in this tournament. MonStah is also only around a minute off his PB and also the world record. So that is definitely the kind of run you want. And MonStah played it really, really well. Cubed is gonna be continuing, probably gonna finish out this run, since he's quite close to it.
Yeah,
let's see what kind of ending Cubed is gonna get as well. Let's see, MonStah should be invited to join us here for a post-race interview. And we're gonna watch how Cubed ends out this run. But that is a big GG there.
It was a great run. It's worth noting that that would put him at 5th on the leaderboard for all skills, and it was done in a tournament race, which is very impressive.
Alright, let us see. Cubed is on their way to the Abyss Streak, and is also going to be doing the Abyss Climb. Unfortunately, it takes a bit of a damage tank there. It shouldn't be too big of a deal, since they're probably going to bench Dirtmouth or Black Egg, just in case you get, like, infinite or infinite load or invisible THK or something of the sort.
Yeah. It's also usually worth it to make sure you're going into THK with full health, because especially with the Shriek strats we use on him in all skills, there's a lot that can easily go wrong if he decides to give you bad attacks.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely want to be going into that fight with a lot of health. Alright, so let's see what kind of Abyss Climb Cube gets. Cubed accidentally misses that pogo there. Gets it on the second try though. Is doing a bit of safer strategies, but it's working out fine. Probably a good idea in a tournament setting here. Yeah, takes a bit of the safer strategies, tries to avoid some of those spike pogos, especially when the spikes are kind of going like to the side and over you. Those are really tricky and can mess up quite easily if you don't get them perfectly. They're definitely something that is quite difficult to get, especially if you're nervous in a tournament setting. We do have to have a lot of respect for these runners right now for playing so well, even though like there's a lot of nerves probably.
Yeah, that's definitely something that can't be understated. When you're running in a race, you got one attempt. And when you're running for PB or something, if you die or you mess up, you just reset and do it again. And for speedrunners, that's not a big deal. So it's definitely a different feeling knowing that you can't reset if you mess up.
So Chomps on the Loose is wondering why Hornet appears in Beast Den sometimes after killing Hera, and sometimes she doesn't. The reason for Hornet appearing is if you have King's Brand going into Beast Den, and if you kill Hera. So she always appears in a run like all skills because of that reason. Alright, so Cubed is about to finish off their run. This is actually not far away at all from their PB. I think they've played this really cleanly, and this is also probably a run that they're gonna be quite happy with. Of course, I can't speak for them, but I can tell you from my experience that if I had a run that was this close to my PB, I would be quite happy. Goes for
Same here.
Cyclone strats there on the chains. Alright, Cubed enters the second phase of the fight. They're probably gonna take a heal here. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. They take 2 even, just to be safe. And now they only need a couple of shrieks to finish off the fight.
Yeah, and these shrieks here will probably just about end it.
Yeah, these last 2, there's gonna be, unfortunately, accidentally does a fireball on top of the shriek,
Yeah,
and
just
there we
barely
go.
missing the scream skip.
Alright. So, yeah, there we go. That is the tournament run finished out for both of the runners. Cube seems to be getting a 42-43 here. 43. GG's to both runners.
Yeah, great
that was
race
quite a
from
fun
both of
run
them.
to watch. That was a very good race to watch.
That has to be one of the closer runs in the tournament so far.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Only a 7-minute difference.
Yeah, they both played really well. I think it was definitely, from like a viewing perspective, it was definitely a very solid run to watch for both of them. None of them had any major deaths, which was quite nice to see.
For sure.
And Cubed and Monsta, I think, both of them were within a minute of their own PBs. So that is definitely very impressive, and having that level of consistency towards your own PB is something to be proud of. So yeah. All right. I think they're both in here for an interview.
Yes,
Hello, both of
hello.
you.
Hello.
Welcome. GG's on the run.
GG's.
GG's.
All right. So yeah, that was quite a fun run to watch.
Yeah, thanks for commentating.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for running. Anything you want to say? Any thoughts on the run? Something like that?
I was mostly happy with.
I think you're cutting out a little bit, Monsta.
Yeah, we just lost your audio. While we're getting that sorted, if anyone in the chat has questions for the runners, put them in there, and we will ask for you guys.
Also, are these commands not set up? What are the commands again?
It's just R and I think C for runners and commentary.
All right. Can someone in chats get us the links to? Oh, Monsta's power just went out, unfortunately.
Oh no!
Very lucky timing
No.
to get that after the run
Yeah,
finishes. Oh my gosh.
at least he finished beforehand.
That's true.
Yeah. So if you see what Slarn posted there in the chat, those are the links to both of the runners on Twitch. Go follow them if you want to see more of their runs. And yeah. Monsta seems to be having some technical difficulties, but Cubed, if there's anything you want to say, feel free.
That whole run, I was really scared of forgetting an ability because I didn't have my live split open, so I was just looking over and making sure I was going where Monsta was going.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that, because like with the amount of nerves that this must come with, like I can definitely understand like messing up and missing an ability. So
Yeah,
I feel like that's a
definitely
valid concern to have.
Yeah, especially missing something like Great Slash, where it's just like
Yeah.
basically backtracing through Fog Canyon in a
Yeah.
tournament setting. I would definitely be
Yeah.
scared of that as well.
Especially those abilities that are just like another ability that you use never.
Yeah.
I feel like those could be quite easy to forget. Like, who's gonna remember Cyclone Slash or like Great Slash, especially Great Slash? I feel like that one
Mhm.
could be quite easy to forget.
For sure.
I think
But
that's
yeah,
what-
MonStah, seeing as MonStah disappeared due to their power going out, unfortunately cannot speak. But they were saying something about being mostly happy with their run. So
Mhm.
I guess that kind of speaks for itself. So I think with that being said, once again, big GGs to both runners. That was a really fun one to watch, and they both played really well. And I think that's gonna wrap it up for us. I think. So
Alright.
yeah,
Yeah. Thanks
thank
everyone
you all
for
for
watching.
watching.
Thanks
Let us see.
Cubed for putting on a
Can-
good show for us.
Yeah, thank you.
Let me see.
Commentating.
Can we get the schedule up somewhere? We want to see if there's any more runs today that you might want to. MonStah's back. Hey, MonStah. All right. We might have gotten MonStah back. Hold on.
Automatically.
Here we go.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
That's actually extremely scary.
Yeah, you're lucky that happened after you finished out your run.
Yeah.
Good thing you didn't play a few minutes slower.
Well, I guess RNG is a blessing.
Real life RNG.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry about that.
It's all good. Don't worry.
Yeah, no worries.
Hold on. Let
Sure.
me bring up the schedule. But yeah, MonStah, as you were saying, you were commenting on your run.
Oh yeah. I'm afraid of saying anything because something will probably go horribly wrong again. But yeah, I was pretty happy with most of my run. I think I had like one unfortunate spike dunk in one of the dark rooms.
Yeah.
But yeah,
On that last
everything else went pretty well. I took a few safety struts. Yeah, that's mostly how my run went.
So yeah, anything else you want to say, MonStah, before we wrap this all up?
I'm just hoping that everyone had a great time today. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. I think
Awesome.
that's speaking a bit for all of us. We all hope you enjoyed this match. If you go on over to let me check the schedule again. Hold on. I clicked off it. If you go on over to the SpeedGaming main channel right now, there is a tournament run between Mr. Hug and Sour Cream Supreme. So if you're craving more Hollow Knight All Skills tournament contents, definitely go look at that. Also, once again, go follow the two runners, MonStahLer and Dudexcubed, on their Twitch channels if you want to see more of their stuff. And yeah, I think that's gonna be wrapping it up for us. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a nice day. Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye.